Okay. Well, I was supposed to get a hold of Jeff Anderson Burgos. And I've emailed him and I've called, but I have not heard back.
I talked to Wyckoff and they're okay. They can handle, if we go there, they'd be happy to handle. They had one set up and they know they can get another one. I may have to pay a little for it, but it won't be much. So if we want to go there for the outdoor, they will have the AV to accommodate us. And they're happy to
That's
have
great.
us.
Yay.
It is great.
So Sue Ellen and I chatted last week with Scott from media to try to figure out the bilingualness
That's okay.
of
Bilingual.
stuff.
Yeah, I like that word.
Yeah, so trying to, so there's a, so Sue Ellen's talking to Jeffrey so we can do like an immediate, so like we talk and someone, you can press a button. There's like a Zoom format where somebody, you can do bilingual, like pressing a button with a person that can take the questions and do the translations when they hear stuff. But, and it's the city's Zoom platform. And there's a group that does this for the city. for
Wow,
translation stuff.
that's a great thing.
Well, the problem is that's what I emailed Jeff
Jeffrey.
about, whether or not we could use the city's equipment to do that. And that would mean a webinar hookup for Zoom. I don't personally have that.
Nope.
But the city does. And using that, we will need Jeff to get us hooked up through the city's equipment and through their Zoom account so that we can do a webinar. Unfortunately, I have not heard back from him. And just as unfortunately, I was late emailing him. So it's my fault.
Just hopefully it'll work out.
So the only
So
thing
that-
I can
yeah.
say is, as soon as I do hear from him, I can email everybody what the story is. I don't know. He could be on vacation because the city council isn't meeting.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're hoping to make this easier to do the hearing bilingually.
So would that mean that we would so I mean, it brings up questions, can we move forward with the dates without knowing, can we move forward with our advertisements without knowing those things? Are we going to broadcast from that webinar platform for both meetings, including when we have our in-person meeting? It just brings up those kinds of issues. And I guess then the kind of the third and follow-up question is, when do we have to make the decisions on those things to get enough, like the standard meeting for our standard meetings, it's usually 2 weeks notice prior. But of course, it would seem like it would be nice to have a little more than that. We would want to get the posters and stuff out a little before, but that still gives us plenty of time. We don't have to, so September, around September 10th is kind of our, we start getting close to a drop dead date for,
Right.
so we still have time.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like we should be sure that we can get how that's going to work with the translation.
That is definitely the issue. And
Yeah.
What I don't know is whether we can actually have that to use, the city program that is. And what Marlene didn't say is that the city webinar would be set up so that we could work with an interpreter and have the ability for anyone coming to the meeting to just click on a button to get the thing in Spanish. And then, if we could, we would have to get additional funding from the city council for the,
Translation stuff.
for translation immediately as we're, as we're talking. I don't know if I'm being clear. Translators, according to Scott, are $65 an hour, and we would need 3 hours worth because we have to have 2. You can't do it with.
That's
one
for each,
translator.
and that's for each meeting.
Correct.
Yeah. And so the question really is, do we even want to try to do it in English and Spanish? The only way we can would be with a city's program or paying out of our own pockets for the ability to use webinar for both meetings, because we would have to also record the second meeting at Wyckoff.
So offhand, it seems like, I mean, obviously it would be nice to have translators in both, but it seems like we have to have it in at least one to make it, available to people. That still means that some people that can't make it on that night could be left out. But it seems to me that we ought to have the translator in the Zoom meeting and not, it seems like a lot to try to deal with in the meeting at Wyckoff. Personally, that's just, just a quick, some quick thoughts. I don't know what others think.
Yeah. I don't know what the rules are, but I think you're right, Jeff. I mean, if we did it once, would that be sufficient?
Won't there be a transcript with the conclusion of it available?
I think all of it would have to be recorded anyway.
Well,
So then that could be made available bilingually a lot easier.
Well, that of course is precisely the point. There should be a transcript for both meetings.
Right.
Both of them should be on the cloud when we finish, so that people can access the information, and anyone who misses the meeting can go to the cloud to access. And I think that's done then through the city's Zoom account. And that's what we need to know about.
so I thought the mayor was giving us some funds to have a transcribe, somebody that was going to take.
Yes, we got $300 for that.
So that's a different person, I assume, than, so all these things, the puzzle pieces, there's a few puzzle pieces here. So
Yeah. So the company is called Transfluency. I'm not familiar with them, but that's the name of the company the city works with, or the agency the city works with to do that.
And is Transfluency the same company that does the translation from Spanish to English or English to Spanish?
Yes,
Do they do the city council meetings?
they will now. Until now, the city council has never done anything
Right.
in Spanish. It's all been purely in English.
Mhm.
And they just voted to do this.
Yeah. I read that.
Now, I have to believe, since they didn't do this before, that we're not required to do this.
Hey, Sue Ellen, Kate's in the waiting room. We lost her.
Well,
Can you find her?
Well, I
I don't see her.
didn't admit next to her name again.
I'll tell her to dial in again. Sounds like,
Okay.
Well,
So-
it says joining up next to her name.
okay,
on the
maybe she'll join. See what,
So that's the other thing that we talked about with Scott was like how we manage the Zoom call. You know, so the collective we can be co-hosts, but the collective, but we have to, someone will have to be, paying attention to, hi Kate, glad
glad
you're
you're
back.
back.
Some people are gonna have to be paying attention to, who's talking, when it's time to take public comment and all that stuff. We're gonna have to be vigilant about making sure we get people able to unmuted when we want them unmuted and muted again when they're done. And, manage the, if we're giving people 2 minutes, manage the 2 minutes. Anyway, so it's the managing the meeting is going to be an important part of the Zoom public meeting.
Yeah, and to do that, which I now can do on our Zoom, we can also do that with the webinar program. But one of us will just have to be paying attention and kind of dedicated to closing people down if they've talked too long. We also will have to be able to do that for the live meeting, at which we'll need 2 microphones, one at the head and one that can roam whoever the guests are, if we have any guests.
I suspect we'll have some.
I won't tell you guys about the fisticuffs we had at a public transit public meeting.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Anyway,
Do you think there is going to be any contention here?
I can't
That
imagine.
we have to consider, at least letting, I don't think so.
I can't imagine.
I mean, we could get porn bombed or something like that, I mean, we have to be aware of that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, there is that.
So somebody will have to watch that.
There easily could be people who'd start talking and keep going unless we cut them off using someone to mute them, one of us. There's nothing else we can do about it. Kate,
If somebody is the person taking care of the time, then they might want to send messages directly to the person who's speaking when they have 30 seconds left, and then when their time is up, and then cut them off at a certain short grace period thereafter. But I think a direct reminder can help.
well, for whatever, unless we know we can use the city's program, there's no way we will be able to do this in Spanish as well as English. And I'm just looking at my notes from the meeting.
Well, as much as I hate to say it, I suspect we should do a dry run, somewhere, a couple
Yeah, we
weeks
should.
before.
Absolutely.
This is getting kind of complicated here.
Yep.
So many things that
Yes,
go
Scott
wrong.
had me all like complicated. I was a mess. Anyway,
I don't even know anything about it.
Thankfully, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully, I guess, yeah.
I think we actually could do the live meeting. And if it didn't get recorded, we'd do it with a secretary there and have the notes available once they were typed up. It's the Zoom meeting that becomes the problem. if Wyckoff has the equipment, they'll let us use it. And if, for instance, Marlene can check with them and make sure that they have a projector and the right cable system to hook their projector up to her laptop so that we can put the
Presentation.
PowerPoint program up on a screen in front of everybody. That would be the only holdup.
Well, I can imagine a few more, but that's the biggest one. Yeah.
Go ahead, imagine.
No,
Imagine out
no,
loud, Jeff, please.
no,
Now is the time.
it's all good.
I could bring
So-
Ginger and clear the rooms.
Exactly. That's all good.
Marlene, if you want to call Mr. Murphy, he's most gracious and easy to talk to.
Okay, Dave, you want to send me his number?
Yeah, I will.
I would imagine, wouldn't it be just looking up Wyckoff's number?
Yeah, you just call Wyckoff's general number. He's likely to even answer it.
Okay,
Nice fella.
I'll bring my little laptop up and we'll see if,
Yeah, just because he's okay with what we discussed, but maybe that link is a problem, so we ought to get right to that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's easier for you to do it than me be in the middle of it.
yeah, no, because we'll need to, I'd have to just bring it up and check it.
Yep.
Silly me. I thought you were talking about the mayor.
Oh, sorry.
No, I got it.
That's the next issue. If we can use the city webinar program and we still are going to try to do this in a bilingual format, then we do have to talk to the mayor again because we will need the $65 times two people, times 3 hours funding in order to have the translators available. So we're going to have to go back looking for that funding. And it became very clear from when I looked for funding for a secretary that neither Mike nor Dave Bartley are interested in doing that for us.
Really?
Yeah, I got back a note when I wrote to them about funding for secretarial help for me to check with the mayor on it from Dave Bartley.
I was going to suggest putting some pressure on Mike to help us here. I'm disappointed.
Well, he never got back to me at all. I emailed both of them on, with the same question.
Yeah.
Geez, we got those nice letters from him early on.
Yeah, whichever one of us calls, I'm just gonna be looking for a donation.
Yeah, well,
Okay, well, let's see what happens.
but we need to know about the webinar before there's any point in calling to find out.
I mean,
about it.
I feel like we really ought to get them to pay for secretarial, but
Well, we
I mean,
did.
Oh, they're paying for that.
oh, okay.
We've got 300.
300.
For
I'm sorry. So
for secretarial help for the 2 meetings. Juan can't do it because of an ethics conflict
Right.
that the state feels he can't. He can't get paid for doing it. And so we have to find someone. I have not posted this
Okay.
yet at the community college because I'm half afraid to post the fact that we're looking for this there and not go to the additional expense of posting it the way the city posts any kind of job that's available.
Yeah.
And if we post it that way, it's going to be a newspaper expense. And there goes all of the money that we had for a secretary anyway, because of the cost involved.
Timing.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm still a little confused about the secretarial versus, I thought I understood you guys said Transfluency was kind of doing both, but
No, Transfluency just does the translation.
secretarial help for the minutes would be someone to take minutes the way we have been taking turns taking minutes for these meetings. And that's what we got the $300 for. Because if each of us had to pay attention to what the public was asking us and to co-hosting in order for each person to have a fair amount of time, then we wouldn't be able to also take minutes.
Let me ask this. If it's being recorded and we're going to have a transcript of the recording, do we need to take minutes at the time of
Who would do a transcript of the recording, Jeff?
well, we would have to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it. I've done those. I mean, I've done minutes off the.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
No, it's a lot of time. I mean, you can do it, but it's a lot of time.
Sure, it's hours and hours. So I don't recommend it. I think we need to have, I don't recommend it. I just am concerned that we're not going to have all the answers by a date certain.
I agree.
I think we need a date certain when we're going to, advertise these dates, and we need to set up a time that we're going to have a dry run and make sure, so that we have our team together and we all know, our roles that we need to fill during the meeting. I don't think it's all that complex, but I suspect it's a little more complex than any of us are imagining.
What if we tell the mayor or Mike Sullivan that we're pretty much ready to go, but we won't be able to accomplish the public hearings unless we get some answers and some help from this? We won't have them.
Well, the first thing we need is to find out whether we can use the city's webinar program
Right.
for both these meetings, one to really run the meeting and the other because we're outdoors and don't have the kind of equipment that's necessary to record the meeting outdoors, but the webinar would. So we need to know if we can use it for both meetings. And apparently we could also have a conflict because we're trying to do a meeting at the same time that the city council is meeting, or even one of the committees for the city council has suddenly decided to hold a meeting at that time. So that's where it gets really complicated. And frankly, I kind of threw my hands up in the air. I looked at what we needed to find out. I have made the primary calls. I have not heard back, but I really think that's more my fault in timing. That's Jeff's fault. I can't blame it on him.
Well, I don't think it's fair to, I don't think Jeff has any authority to do much of anything. So I really think you probably have to go to the mayor and ask for that, whether we can use the webinar or not.
Yeah.
Scott felt that the person to talk to was Jeff because he coordinated all of that. And it's a city committee, therefore we should be able to. But if somebody wants to talk to the mayor about it.
I'll talk to the mayor about it. You send me some details on specifics so I don't, and I'll be happy to track them down.
Yeah, I mean, so we can I'll work with Sue Ellen and we'll make a list for you, but it would be like whether we could use the city's Zoom platform and whether they'll pay the cost of the translation,
Just give me that and I'll go bug them, okay?
So how would you bug him, Dave? Would
I'll call him.
I'll
call him. I have a pretty good relationship with him. I think he'll call me back. I'll try to meet him.
Well, it took some nagging for me to get him to call back on the secretarial issue. And
that's where I'd start.
Do you think it's worth CCing Jeff, on, kind of your, so Sue Ellen, your email, you and Marlene's email to Dave, do you think it's worth CCing Jeff so he knows we're going to the mayor if he wants to,
Yes,
if he wants to
Yes.
deal with it? That way he knows, we're going to the mayor. We have to resolve these issues. It's not fair to,
and don't take it personal, right?
I just think that might be
Think you're
helpful.
right.
And if Jeff can resolve it, then he'll resolve it. If the mayor, if we had to
It's
get the
probably
mayor.
coming to
resolve.
him anyway. So yes, I think that's real smart. Absolutely.
Just a thought.
It's a good thought.
Okay, so then we will proceed by asking the mayor for permission to use the city's webinar system, as well as funding translators if the mayor feels that translation is necessary.
Correct. Yep.
Are we going to tell the mayor that we have a drop dead date to hold our meetings
Yep.
by a date certain?
Yep. That's what I would do unless you tell me not to.
And what date do we think is our drop dead date for advertising and
Like
9/15
September 10th.
9/15, somewhere in
Yeah, I
there.
would think, I think Marlene's right about September.
yeah, that's the date. That's the date I was thinking, September 10th. Yeah.
Put it in your little note to me, okay?
Yep.
And then so we set in motion everything at that point. We do our advertising, we do.
Yeah, and so, question, if, do we, that PowerPoint presentation, Sue Ellen, do we think we need to translate that or not?
Oh, I think we probably don't have to.
Yeah, that's what I think.
The mayor and the city council don't feel that we have to be bilingual. I would phrase this as if they both would like us or both feel that it's necessary for us to be bilingual. Then we will need funding for transfluency.
I mean, we're a small committee without a budget. It's hard for us to do that.
Yeah. There's been a lot of work done.
Yeah.
I'll get it so I'll get right to it.
That's great.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I will do. I will send you everything basically that I sent to Jeff.
Yep.
Which I did not do until this morning.
Okay,
Okay,
And I will copy it to Marlene,
great.
okay,
adding the drop dead date, whether or not we need to be bilingual, and therefore we'll need funding for transfluency.
Yep.
And Marlene, if you see anything that needs to be added to it,
Throw it
I'll do
in.
that.
you can edit and add that information.
Okay,
And add
And
the
we'll
two,
get back to Dave and me.
yeah, and add the two dates, live and not live. And so I can make it feel urgent.
Add proposed dates.
And so it seems like we also ought to pick our dry run date.
Well, we can do that anytime before September 29th.
It just seems like we ought to pick that now so we all know, like if we were going to choose the 21st, for instance, that's our regular Tuesday time, and that would be a little more than a week.
okay, I'm good with that.
Yep, me too.
Can I ask, do we have a meeting between now and the 21st? I know the 7th wasn't working because of the holiday.
Well, it doesn't work for me, but the rest of you can meet.
Or me.
And it doesn't work.
That's right, it doesn't work for Marlene
It
either.
doesn't work for a lot of folks. I think we ought to
Yeah.
just plan on meeting the 21st and get our stuff together then. And
I guess the one thing I'd like to make sure then that we do tonight is I've put together a list of places to share. So I was thinking, oh, we had enough time, but it sounds like if we're not meeting again before the information needs to go out, we should definitely make sure we go over that today.
Right, so that's important. So we should do that next. And then one other thing though, too, is once we get the date certain, we got to get the posters out too. Or unless that's included on your list, Kate.
Sort of,
Okay,
but as we go through the list, we can think of all those things, I guess.
okay.
Okay, can anybody think of anything else we need to do right now?
And can you confirm for me that we're still, we're talking about two meetings, public meetings, one in person outside at Wyckoff likely, and the other one Zoom based. Do we have a preferred date for Wyckoff? That's the 29th?
No, that was the 5th.
Okay, the 5th. Okay.
And in both cases, it was a 6 o'clock meeting.
6 o'clock, October 5th at Wyckoff. And then the week before is the 29th is the,
The webinar,
okay.
which we hope it's going to be a webinar.
Right, I understand. These are like, I'm just asking,
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm trying to have some information in the minutes. So the idea would be to do the first one Zoom webinar and then the second one on October 5th at Wyckoff in person.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
And for both of them, we will need a secretary. And that's what we presently have $300
Right,
in funding for.
right.
And
And so
another
the-
thing we need is to find out how to access that.
Yeah. We have to make sure someone shows up to do it. And then so that it's clear to me also what we're talking about is it would be nice to also be able to communicate with people in Spanish at both of these public hearings. But truly the only way to do that is if if the city steps up and funds that. And if they're not willing to do that, then it's going to be in English.
You got it.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks. Okay. And and we need answers to that, we said by September 10th, and as to whether or not the city's going to provide funds for translation by, did we say September 10th? So that,
Correct.
and then as soon as we know one way or another, then we can someone can finalize the posters and get them out, and it'll either say there will be in Spanish also, or it won't say that on the poster and other notices that we're doing. Okay, got it.
Now, the next question is, do we want to blame the city council on the posters if we can't do this in Spanish?
You would think, I mean, they appointed us. Kind of, they're responsible.
Well, I think it's really pretty simple, right? It's like, if the people who control the purse strings would like this to be a bilingual public hearing, then allocate the funds. If it's not important enough for them to allocate the funds, then it's going to be in English.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's, okay, Dave, you've got that?
I got it.
Right, simple.
That's it in a nutshell. You got it.
We're so easy to get along with.
Right.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's like bait and switch. We have the posters in Spanish and they're invited, but then when they get there, they don't understand what we're talking about.
Well, that's right. That's why I think why the poster won't also be in Spanish, I guess, if, well, or maybe there is and there's something in Spanish that says,
I think that's like tweaking somebody's nose, you know?
come prepared to speak English because we don't have the funds for a translator.
Or there's a number to say, please complain to so-and-so that we can't have this translated into Spanish.
Please
I mean-
complain to Mike Sullivan.
He doesn't control the purse strings.
No,
Well, he's one of the people that would have to
prove it.
actually bring the issue of funding forward in a motion.
Oh,
I
God, if
mean,
we have
he
to wait for
could
that,
do it.
there's
He
no way.
very well could be the one to do it. They just never got back to me on the first
Well,
one.
The mayor must have the discretion. There must be some funds available for things like this in his office. I mean, he came up with the $300 for the,
Still had to go to the council though.
But he had to
Still
go to
have-
the council to get, and actually Joe McGivern was the proponent of.
Made the motion,
get us
yeah.
The money.
oh my God.
Made the order.
But it is interesting. I mean, I've been poking for a couple of years about why can't we get planning board translated and still hasn't happened.
Well,
Well,
when you
it's
consider
complicating
the
our lives.
cost, and they tell me, well, I don't want to say they. Scott was pretty definite about the fact that you need 2 translators for each meeting because one person needs to take a break every once in a while. What they're trying to do is translate as people talk. And that's a much different
Very hard.
way to do translations. It's kind of like being at a UN meeting and being able to
UN all the way.
to get the language you want. It's difficult to do that. And one person has to get a break for a few minutes and the other one takes over just for catch up. And he said, absolutely, we'd need 2 people for each meeting.
Yep.
It's not something either Marlene or I had any background in. And Scott was pretty definite about this. He repeated that whole
Yeah.
talk a couple of times to make sure that we understood it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we used translators for the deaf all the time and it does require, yeah, they get exhausted doing that. So I'm sure it's similar.
What's so hard about these decisions is, you don't know whether, first of all, we don't know if anybody's going to show up no matter what language they speak. And then, we don't know whether someone who doesn't speak English is going to show up. But I guess that's why I think it's the city council, right? The city council and the mayor, if it's important to them.
Right. The
Okay.
only other thing we can do is add a line on the Spanish posters saying, please bring your own translator if needed. But that'll be if we get turned down, because this is going to become a little more expensive than any of us at first thought of. And I'm sure it's also a lot more expensive than anybody on the city council thought of.
I mean, in a large part, it's about how much do they really want our report and how much do they really want people's input
Really,
on this.
that's exactly it.
Guess we'll find out.
Exactly.
I mean, this could also end up pushing the the dates up a little bit too, depending upon how much problem Dave has with the mayor and the city
Sure.
council.
That's why we have a drop dead. That's why we have a drop dead date, because then we
When is this?
automatically punt to a later date.
Yeah,
Right.
from September, October, we could be, November, December. which
Yeah,
is
this,
Probably
this
not
ad,
the best of time to be doing this.
not for outdoor.
No, well, yeah, it's dark out and, holidays are coming and, I think that'd be, so, I mean, we really need to get it done now, I think. Otherwise, I think we're gonna be pushing it way off.
Well, certainly we want to get the meetings done by the end of October, no matter what.
Yeah,
Because at that point, we do run into holidays.
Yeah.
There will be more meetings that the city council is holding, as far as the subcommittee meetings go. So it is in everybody's interest to get this done sooner rather than
Hmm.
later.
Get it done.
So, Kate, did we go through your list enough that, it seems like, Sue Ellen, you and Marlene will just kind of, on September 10th, just kind of have to send us an email of where we stand and whether we're going to have our September 21st meeting, with a dry run, and during the dry run, we'll make sure and establish roles for everyone. It sounds like that's what, so whatever we know by September 10th, if you can communicate that to us, and if people have already, and if people have agreed to do posters and with the said dates, and, we just put everything in motion then. And so we don't have to meet then, I don't think, right? We're not planning to meet then. Just an email setting things in motion, and then we'll get together for our dry run on September 21st.
And I'll send through Sue out to everybody what I end up doing or don't do.
That would be great.
Okay.
Before I walk through the list, Sue Ellen, are you going to be able to let me share my screen? Did we figure that technology out?
All I have to do, Kate, is make you a co-host,
Okay.
which I have now done. And
Ah,
you
yes, I can
show
share
your
my screen. Great, I'll do that in just a second. Before I do that, let me say, Pioneer Valley Planning has approved our additional 9 hours. I am going to speak on Friday with Corin, who did the first part. She is leaving there to become assistant town manager in East Longmeadow or Longmeadow or something. So she's not going to do the follow-up, but it's being passed off to Patty Gambarini, who apparently is their water quality specialist anyway. So it's a nice match. So I'm going to talk with her on Friday about what she'll do with the 9 hours we have from them. My assumption is that we still want to have her do the thing that we had identified before as the next step, which is pull together a whole bunch of what are other case studies of places that added recreation without sacrificing water quality, and how did they do it and what did they do? So we'll just be able, when we write our report, to refer to a bunch of other things that had happened, and here are some other examples. So I'll talk with her on Friday just to get that ball rolling. Okay.
That sounds perfect.
Excellent. So I'm going to share just a document that I have, and then I'll be able to take notes as people talk, which is sort of categories of where we're putting things. And I have some places where I'm like wanting to know who's responsible, who wants to be responsible for what. And maybe people have other ideas or better contact information. So let me try to pull that up. I think this is what we want. Yeah, okay. So you can see my notes.
Yep.
Okay. So media, so before we get to like the email and stuff, I don't know if we need this, if somebody else knows this, like who's making the specific outreach to different media outlets? Sue, you talked to Dave Madsen, right?
Yes, and I have to get back to him. But I've
Okay,
been
but
waiting
that's
till we were definite on the dates.
totally fine. I'm not saying do it now. I'm just saying when we get the ball rolling, then you're doing it.
And the other one I've already contacted, and they're ready to go as soon as we have the dates, is the Springfield Republican.
Okay, great. Are there any other TV channels that we are doing?
We hadn't talked about it.
If people have contacts and think we should, they can let me know.
So Kate, can you share this, your list with all of us? It's going to be really helpful for Kip, who's taking minutes.
Yeah,
But I think it
absolutely.
would be helpful for all of us.
Once we're done here, I'll send it to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought we should talk to Holyoke Media. Does somebody want to do that? I mean, I guess I can do it. I know Johan. How about the Holyoke Sun?
I can reach out to our rep for the Holyoke Sun.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Somebody know Hampshire Gazette folks?
I've tried to reach out to Dusty Christensen. I have not heard back, but I'll try again.
Okay, thank you.
What? So didn't you say that Dennis Hohenberger was supposed to contact us, or?
The only person who was going to contact us was the Springfield Republican once they had a go-ahead from us. And then Hohenberger was the person who was identified to me by Cindy when I emailed her about the Republican. And she was going to send him plus a photographer.
I could send something to Manuel at El Sol Latino. Were there other papers we were thinking? A reminder, Harry's taking.
I'm gonna take care of that one too.
You're doing the reminder. I had a long list of notes, so people can ignore the fact that that's a lot of notes, but
Yeah.
Are there any other publications or media that we were thinking of that I didn't get into this list?
Should do channel 22.
Okay, do you have a,
Yeah, I do.
great.
About the Advocate.
Are they still even publishing?
That's what I asked. That's my
Ask them.
question.
I don't know.
If
I don't
you-
think so.
I've been in a store in a year and a half, which is where I would pick them up.
I know, right?
Well, they may not be.
Do you want to look into it?
Sure, I'll ask. I'll try and find out. I could Google it right now.
Okay, if anybody else thinks of something else that would be good, just let me know and we'll get it on the list.
Yeah, I think the Advocate is gone, but I hope I'm wrong. I
Yeah,
think I remember hearing them talk about, after 25 years or so, or something being done.
that.
It's more than that, I'm sure, but
Okay, if people think of other things, great. So then the contacts below, so I'm scrolling up. Please add any other contacts. So if, as we go through this list, you think of other things, let me know. You could also let me know if you think of something later. But for these things, like I will send out an email. And my plan was I'll sort of group them into logical groups. I'll write a little cover letter asking them to distribute it. But what I need to know is, let's see. Oh, it just means though that when the flyer's ready, I need the electronic copy of the flyer so I can attach that to the email. What I want to know for the cover letter is if people want hard copies of the flyer, is Albert the person who's dealing with hard copies of the flyer, or should I put, who should people get in touch with if they want hard copies?
Well, I think if it's gonna be a committee member, it ought to be Kip.
Is that okay, Kip?
Sure. Yes.
So we have the poster. So there was that, the article, news article. So is that done? And are we going to use that? Are there any other comments or?
It seems like it could be attached to what Kate sends to those groups. Again, at some point it gets oversaturated, but you know,
Right.
but I think it is what we have. And so it seems like, you know, that if we're talking to media, it's, you know, it's our script, but it's, you know, but it's fine for others to have. And Marlene, I do have some more comments for you. So I'll write them up and send them
Okay,
to you within a couple of days. I mean, they're minor. You did a really nice job. So, but I did find a few things that,
perfect. I had Harry sent a couple of corrections, which I did. So
yeah. And I might catch the same ones, but you can, you know,
Now,
whatever.
the flyer is the same thing as a news release, right? Or is that different?
It's,
They're
yeah.
different. I'll-
Yeah, I don't think we have our terminology quite right, but they're different.
I can send them both in the email that I send out.
The flyer is the poster, right? Just made, just a small version, right? I think that's right.
Okay, all right.
And then we're gonna have, you know, Kate's gonna do like an introductory email, I guess, to these
Right.
groups, and then we'll attach both the flyer and the article. That's what I think we should do anyway.
Yeah, that's my approach. So Kip, if people are going to contact you for hard copies of the flyer, is it best to do your email or what would you say?
Email, please.
It's email. Okay.
Yeah.
And if people have questions, do we want to have a point person that I can put as the like contact so-and-so?
we should do that.
Somebody want to volunteer? I mean, I know I'll get a bunch of emails back and I'll handle any emails, but if somebody wants to call,
Oh, calls.
That's brutal.
Happy to take it, field the email of question if you want to use my email address, but I don't want phone calls.
I'll put us both on and that way some will go to each way. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
and I can do that too, Kate. if
Okay.
Someone wants.
Sometimes, yeah, there. Okay, great. I'll just put a few of them there and that way, you know, people know one of us, so.
Right.
Okay, so one letter is gonna go to city departments. I thought I would, you know, do because those folks will have networks and they can send them out in their networks. So Yoni, Terry, Aaron Vega and Cynthia at OCD. Do you think there's any other city departments we should send it to?
You know, I might send one to the police department on general principles.
Huh?
Yeah, I think the police department is smart, and I think Public Works is smart.
How about the Holyoke Water Works?
Yeah, no question.
Okay, at the police department, do we have is there a specific, can anybody think of a specific person we should send it to?
One named Matt Moriarty.
Who is he? The communications person?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so that would be
He's
correct.
also a neighbor of mine.
Does anybody know his email?
No,
I don't. All I know is he lives down the street.
If somebody knows it, if you could get it to me. And Public Works, who? Mike McManus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know I have his email somewhere. And Dave Conti, right?
and
Yeah.
Joe
Not bad
Manzi
if you don't have it.
Joe Manzi.
and Dave Conti.
What about Mike Curtin?
From HG.
They're just good. You should do it.
Okay, can people get, I know I have Dave's email from before, but like, can somebody just shoot me all those emails so that I don't have to do a lot of spelunking if somebody has them?
we had Mike's earlier on, and
Have Joe's and Dave's.
And yeah, anybody who's got them, just send them to me. I don't mind if I get them more than once. Then I'm gonna do another email. And there's some cases where I'll send a specific email to a specific person, but I was just gonna do a general email to other organizations. So this list, I'm sure you can think of things that I didn't think of, but I was like, basically anybody in town or locally who is taking people outdoors. Holyoke Rose, the Y, Nuestras Raíces. If somebody had a specific email contact for somebody, that would be nice. Otherwise, I'm going through their website, and that seemed less useful. Nueva Esperanza, Neighbor to Neighbor, Girls Inc., Boys and Girls Club. If somebody had a specific one for them.
I'm sure I could find the executive director's email for Holyoke Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you, because again, when I was on the website, it was like a fill out this form and we'll, right?
Yep.
Children's Museum, Heritage State Park. Does anybody have Charlie Spike's email?
I may be able to get that.
If you could, that would be great.
It's LOTSPEICH. If Marlene Curran has that, I can get it.
Okay. Thank you. Trustees of Reservations, Eagle Eye Institute. I know they're doing a lot of outdoor ed. Kestrel Land Trust. Who was our person at the Appalachian Mountain Club who we talked to?
So there were Bridget, somebody, it was Bridget. I'm gonna
Was it
look
late?
around, see if I have her
Lately?
contacted. And Andrew Long, was that the other one? Anyways, I'll be able to find that info.
Thank you. If you would send it to me, that would be wonderful. Andy Fix, Connecticut River Conservancy. I thought Valley Bikes would be good. The outreach, One Holyoke outreach folks, I wondered if anybody has direct email for Nairobi, who's their outreach person. Otherwise, I can just send it to One Holyoke, but.
One Holyoke on Lyman Street.
Yeah, so I know how to reach them generally and Mike, but
Okay, well, Mike is all I have for you.
yeah, Nairobi is their outreach person, and so it felt like it should probably best go through her. I can keep trying to figure it out. Mass Audubon, Arcadia, All Out Adventures, Connecticut River Conservancy. Do you? Oh no, we got that already.
Up above, you can cut that.
Yeah,
take
I can
that
cut
out.
it. Got it. The Holyoke State Safe Neighborhood Initiative, they do a weekly newsletter. I'll send them this anti-racist collective of avid birders, which is local. I found out about such interesting things. I was so excited. Latinos Outdoors, Western Mass.
I think we ought to add Linda Henderson
Okay.
to this.
I agree.
She runs that,
Hawks
Holyoke
over
Animal
Holyoke,
Hospital.
Hawks over
Right.
Holyoke and
and I
Holyoke
think,
Animal
I'm pretty sure I've
Hospital.
got hers.
She puts a lot of time in.
That sounds great. Do people have ideas of other things like that I missed that? Like, Harry, are there, I have this listed down under Facebook posts, but like, are there biking groups that we should be talking to?
There's the Mountain Bike Association, but I think the Holyoke, the Western Mass chapter is pretty much non-existent at this point. I can find out from one of the guys in the bike shop who to contact for the local chapter. You want me to do that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
How about also the, isn't there like a Western Mass hiking club or?
There probably is. The things I know about are the Appalachian Mountain Club. And then when we get to Facebook, I have a Venture Out, which is a hiking club, but I'm sure there are more of them. I just don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of thing, if people rack their brains between now and September 10th, if you find out how to reach somebody or you find out something exists and we just need to do a little more research, let me know.
How about the Holyoke Canal Tour guy?
Perfect. Yeah.
Robert Como.
Yeah.
I don't think I have his direct email.
I'm sure I have it. I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Yeah, just people send me these things. And also some groups that I only know through Facebook. Well, Latino Outdoors is also on Facebook, so I'll send them something. Venture Out, the bike walk group, the like bike ped folks. Oh, wait, I should do up to city departments. It's not really a city department, but Price. I should send something. I get his email.
Put the gas and electric in there too.
I'm gonna send Mike Curtin's email in.
Who at the G&E?
Mike Curtin.
Mike, okay.
Curtin.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I've got people listed in the wrong spots. Okay, yeah, folks, send me those emails. Western Mass Birders. So Harry, you'll figure out about the mountain bikers.
Yeah, you got it right there, and then, but I'll find out who the local person in charge is at this point,
Okay, awesome.
if anybody.
Yep. And I don't know, I felt like some of the bigger groups like Hello Holyoke or Happy Holyoke and like all those places, is anybody, I try to stay off Hello Holyoke, but I don't know if anybody else wants to post it there.
Yeah, Facebook in general.
I can post it there, but if somebody else has a like positive posting relationship, they could do it.
I stay off of all of that.
I've never even heard of him.
Used to be a
Me
news-
neither.
used to be a newspaper, Hello Holyoke, but
All right, I'll do it.
And there's one called Happy Holyoke. That's fun. No idea.
Yeah. Hello Holyoke often goes down a rabbit hole of like,
Yeah,
get those people off the corner,
yeah.
you know, like,
It's run by Josh and Leahy and
sometimes it's
Couple
useful
others.
and sometimes it's just it's like, don't read the comments in Mass Live. Yeah. Anyway.
But it's probably obvious, but how about the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission?
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
And so the other question is, do we also want to go back and send this email to the folks that already came and visited with us? You know, some of the folks you listed, it seems like we ought to go back to them. So if
Agree.
Eric wants to come again and hear what others are saying, or if Fish and
Right.
Wildlife wants to come or others, it seems like the folks we already invited, we just sort of put back on this list.
Right. Can somebody put together a list of everybody we invited? Because I don't have all those notes. Like if someone would pull together that list, and I will just blast to them as well. Does somebody?
So Sue Ellen or Marlene,
I
do you
think-
guys have that list?
I don't know if there's a list in one place, but maybe we can collectively talk our way through it.
I was just going to assign it to you, Marlene, but
Okay. I'll just bother people.
Yeah, do so.
How about anybody in East Hampton?
The mayor.
Well, I've got her address if you want it.
What do you guys think about that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good,
Mayor of East Hampton without letting the mayor of Holyoke know we were,
Yeah.
and city councilors that we were doing that.
I just
Yeah.
I just put our mayor on there.
Yeah. And
Okay,
the
what was-
city councilors should know too, in case they want to show up.
Well, then just the city council should get it.
I will send it to Jeffrey so he can send it to the city council.
Okay.
Kip, what was your point about East Hampton? You think that'll cause a problem?
Well, I would certainly, no, I don't think it would cause a problem, but I just think protocol would be to let the mayor of Holyoke know you're inviting the mayor of East Hampton to an event
I think you're right.
that he's
I think you're
funding.
right.
Maybe funding.
maybe funding.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
funding.
So how do we want to finesse that?
Dave, you want to mention that to him?
Yes, I will mention that.
Okay. So much for that.
Okay,
You can put me down for Nicole's email.
If it's okay.
And if we're doing that, we probably, I don't see why it wouldn't be okay with the mayor. And we probably ought to see if we could dig up the Northampton mayor's email.
I'll do that.
If we're gonna add Nicole.
Well, and West Springfield is downstream, so I don't know if that maybe makes sense to send one there. Just as a FYI, they might be interested in coming and listening.
Just made the big deal down at Bear Swamp.
Right.
yeah.
And that's
Again,
Springfield.
it goes without saying, but it's always bad when you forget them. Reps, Richie Neal, all that.
Yeah.
I may have Richie's.
But I do think it makes sense. You know, they're likely not going to show up, but
And we might need them someday.
well, they may show up. They may send someone. They might have a great idea.
Yeah, this is not a good idea to leave them out.
So then our state reps too, of course.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
State
so
rep,
Pat and.
yeah,
and,
Pat
yeah.
and whoever else covers it and
Bellis, yeah,
Congressman.
I see you got Bellis on there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
Okay.
Hey,
I-
Marlene, will you throw in the stuff, introduce Scott to me and that stuff you're gonna give me?
Sure.
Okay, just who he is, okay?
Kate, your list is a good one. That was helpful, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Kate.
for doing that.
Welcome.
That was pretty exhaustive. I mean, you did a lot.
I'm exhausted.
I don't know why you couldn't get all that down, Kip. Way
Really?
to go.
Kip got
That
out.
same cramp I used to get in high school.
Can you read it?
I'll cut and paste that list and send it to everybody, and then you can remember to shoot back
Good bit
information.
of work. Nice work.
Thanks.
That's great.
Unmoved.
So Ellen, can we escape? Did we do it? Did we do our due diligence?
I think everybody has been spectacular. And if you want to escape, by all means.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we'll review that info and get it to you, Dave.
Yeah, nothing crazy, just so I don't miss anything, okay?
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Good,
Thank
good
you.
seeing everyone. Yep.
Yeah,
Bye,
good
everybody.
night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
See ya.